In the last video, the third arc of Detective Conan, the Kido arc, just finished not too long ago. Mizunashi Dana, who was an undercover within the Black Organization, called to tell Jody Starling that the Black Organization had sent a member with superb observation capabilities and intelligence gathering capabilities, codenamed Bourbon, who is the Japanese public security's furuyarei and has the current name Amura Toru. His goal is the organization's traitor, Shetty. The fourth arc of Detective Conan, the Bourbon arc, has officially started. Like the Vermouth arc, the author provided the audience with 3 suspects at the beginning of the Bourbon arc. The first suspect is the character who appeared in anime episode 509, Okiya Subaru. He activated Haibara's alcohol radar when he first debuted. Because the apartment he lived in was destroyed by a fire, Conan let him live in his original home. Because of the reason that he likes to drink bourbon, plus his over-observation of Haibara Ai, he became the most suspicious among the 3 suspects. But his real identity is FBI agent Akai Shuichi. With the help of Kuro Yukiko's disguise and Professor Agasa's new invention, the voice-changing choker, he has successfully transformed into a completely different identity, Okiya Subaru. Conan lets him live in his own home so that he can better protect Haibara, who lives next door. Anime episode 521. In order to solve the unresolved incident of Kuro Shinichi a year ago, Conan and Hattori went to East Okuho together to check it out. But Conan accidentally took the ABTX 4869 antidote as cold medicine, which led to Conan's 3rd time changing back to Kuro Shinichi. Then, in order to fool Ran, Conan took another APTX 4869 antidote and changed back to Kuro Shinichi again, which caused Conan's body to develop a resistance to the drug, and the drug's effect could not last for 24 hours. Anime episode 563. The second Bourbon suspect, Amura Toru, appears. The task given to him by the Black Organization is to kill Shetty, but his real purpose is to find Akai Shuichi. In fact, he has already known that Motofushi Hiromitsu committed suicide instead of being killed by Akai Shuichi 4 years ago, according to the blood on the pistol. But since knowing that Akai Shuichi is an undercover agent like them, Amura Toru began to resent him, for despite having such an obviously strong ability, why didn't he stop his friend from committing suicide? This time as well, Furuyarei did not believe that Akai Shuichi would be killed by Kiryu so easily, so he asked Vermouth to help him pretend to be Scar Akai and frequently appear in front of other FBI agents to observe their reactions. Then, like the last bus hijacking incident, a few pitiful robbers robbed the bank where the FBI, Japanese police, and detective boys were located. Bourbon also rescued Conan from the robbers. Members of the Black Organization also saw Scar Akai disguised as Bourbon on TV and began to doubt Kiryu's credibility. On the other hand, FBI's Jody Starling found that Scar Akai's hat was an original product of the Baker department store. So, she went there to look for clues about Akai Shuichi, and Scar Akai followed them to the department store. The real Akai Shuichi, disguised as Okiya Subaru, follows Scar Akai and realizes that the person who is disguised as him is a member of the Black Organization. So, he left a message on Jody's drinks coaster to tell her to get out of there quickly. Other members of the Black Organization also witnessed Scar Akai and reported to Jean. Jean urgently took the sniper and Kiryu to the sighting's location. Knowing this information, Jody wanted to prevent Scar Akai from entering the range. But the real Akai Shuichi stopped her and said his catchphrase, 50-50. But Jody is busy looking for Scar Akai and did not have enough time to understand the meaning of his words. While Vermouth told Jean Scar Akai's true identity and purpose, relieving Jean's suspicion of Kiryu. At the same time, in order to prevent someone from being accidentally injured by a sniper, Conan used a voice changer to attract all the customers to the department store. By the way, in this case, Mori Kogoro woke up for the first time halfway through Conan's deduction. If Conan has only taken the antidote of the APTX 4869 a few times and developed the resistance, then Mori Kogoro being shot more than 200 times by a tranquilizer dart should also have some resistance appearing. Since the Kiryu arc, after Uncle Mori knew about the existence of the Black Organization, he sometimes felt very slow-witted, just like he's acting. For example, in anime episode 533, Conan took Uncle Mori's cell phone and sent an email to the police, and then forgot to return it to him. But Uncle Mori didn't seem to care at all. Perhaps he had become immune to the tranquilizer dart long ago and knew Conan's true identity. 10 years ago, the strange resignation and naive reasons for separation, plus the knowledge of the existence of the Black Organization and Conan's true identity. If this is all true, then it all makes sense. But I really don't want an extra undercover agent within the Black Organization or silver bullets on Conan's side. Jean really is too pitiful. Other than undercovers, none of his teammates are reliable. His opponents are all gods who can predict the future. The once beautiful blonde hair turned into gray hair because of overwork. Anime episode 616. The Mori family and Conan are invited to have fun in London, England. As a fan of Sherlock Holmes, Conan of course will not miss this opportunity. But Edogawa Conan is just a fake identity without a passport on a plane. So he asked Haibara for the antidote of the APTX 4869 and changed back to Kudo Shinichi for the 5th time, and with Professor Agasa rode on the same flight with the Mori family to arrive in London. At the same time, Seda Meri received the reports from the MI6 stating that they had witnessed information about the missing Akai Tsutomu on the Vauxhall Bridge and asked Meri to return to London, England to confirm. Just in case, she brought her 17-year-old daughter, Seda Masumi, with her. After arriving at the Holy Land for Holmes fans, Ran began to call Shinichi non-stop, but Shinichi was not very interested. Finally, Ran heard Big Ben's sound from Shinichi's phone and knew that Shinichi had also arrived in London without informing her. With the blessing of the rage buff, Ran quickly found Shinichi. In order to prevent Ran from knowing his true identity, Conan decided to take the antidote he planned to use upon returning home and changed back to Kudo Shinichi for the 6th time, and then confessed to Ran in front of Big Ben.
これは厄介な難事件なんだよ。余計な感情が入りまくって、たとえ俺がホームズでも解くのは無理だろうぜ。心を正確に読み取るなんてことはな。
In the Wimbledon Tennis Open the next day, a threatening incident occurred. In order to help the grass court queen, Minerva Glass, Conan shouted out that he was Sherlock Holmes' apprentice. This scene happened to be recorded by camera. At this point in time, Seda Meri asked her daughter to stay in a hotel. She and Vermouth, who was disguised as Akai Tsutomu, agreed to meet at the Vauxhall Bridge in front of the MI6 building. Meri told Masumi that if she didn't come back on time, then it would prove that Akai Tsutomu was a fake, and asking Masumi to leave London, as well as have the MI6 stay on high alert. After the two of them met, Vermouth explained to Meri that he knew that Haneda Koji's death was linked to a powerful organization, as well as his head being injured while evading the organization's investigation. These past years, he has been in a state of amnesia until he met Seda Meri. Now, he has recovered his memory and can return to the MI6 in a year. Then asked Meri, "Did you bring our sons with you to London?" Meri replied, "No, I came with our daughter." Vermouth was obviously stunned because she didn't even know that Akai Tsutomu had a daughter. Meri also began to doubt this Akai Tsutomu's reaction and asked, "You still can't remember our daughter, who you held in your very arms?" Vermouth hastily covered it up. "Oh, that kid. Did she grow up well?" Meri instantly knew that the person opposite her was not the real Akai Tsutomu, because when the real Akai Tsutomu disappeared, Seda Masumi was not even born yet. After her identity got exposed, Vermouth also lifted her disguise, in her hands holding a red and white capsule. Vermouth fed Meri the capsule and claimed that it was a drug invented by her sister, Miyano Elena. Suddenly, Meri jumped from the bridge into the river, surrounded by the aroused onlooking of passerbys, and Vermouth didn't have time to be sure of Meri's life or death and left. Then, Meri returned to the hotel with a shrunken body. Meri kept coughing after returning to the hotel. Masumi thought she caught a cold because she fell into the river, but Meri claimed that it was a side effect of the drug. Although her body turned smaller, Meri didn't seem to care much. When arguing with Masumi about whether or not to go to the hospital, Conan's voice suddenly appeared on the TV, saying that he is Sherlock Holmes' apprentice. This familiar scene reminded the two of them of the boy on the beach 10 years ago. So Meri immediately asked her colleagues at the MI6 to investigate the connection between the boy on TV and the boy on the beach 10 years ago, Kudo Shinichi. The results showed that Kudo Shinichi had no younger brother, and that half a year ago, Shinichi suddenly stopped detective activities while a little boy took his place and appeared at the crime scene as often as he did. According to information from the airport, Kudo Shinichi and his two companions arrived in London. These two companions are not related to him, and then plus the little boy that appeared on TV today. Seda's mother and daughter guessed that Conan and Meri might have encountered the same thing. Furthermore, he has the antidote to the drug Meri took, so they plan to follow Shinichi back to Japan to get the antidote. Finally, we are going to analyze the London arc of the plot. In the beginning, I just thought this arc of the plot was just for Shinichi to confess to Ran's romantic plot, but combined with the manga's plot, chapters 1047 to 1050, this arc of the plot may be the most mysterious arc of the plot in Detective Conan. It started when Conan became Shinichi and began boarding the plane, and Seda Meri's colleague told her that Kudo Shinichi came to London with his two companions. However, Shinichi deliberately bought tickets for different rows of seats on the same flight with Professor Agasa in order not to be seen by Ran. So, one of the two companions definitely has Professor Agasa. If you add Mori Kogoro and Mori Ran, then Meri's colleagues can find only the information that Kudo Shinichi came with one or three of his companions, and because it was not his relatives, the Kudo couple is excluded. So, who is the second companion? The second puzzle. Akai Tsutomu disappeared 17 years ago. Why did the Black Organization decide to kill Sedamedi only up until 3 years ago? Why did Vermouth sneak into the MI6 as an undercover under the disguise of Akaitutumu? What drug did Vermouth feed Sedamedi? The APTX 4869 or a silver bullet? According to Vermouth, this drug was invented by Meri's sister, Miyano Elena, but the actual effect is the same as the APTX 4869's. However, there is also a cough that is similar to side effects. Although it is said that the APTX 4869 was made by Haibara, the creator of this medicine was not her. This medicine was used by the organization to poison Haneda Koji 17 years ago when Miyano Shiho was only 1 year old. So, the biggest possibility is that the Miyano couple are not only the developers of the silver bullet, but also the creators of the APTX 4869. The reason why Meri didn't care about herself getting smaller and knew that the cause of the cough was not because of a cold, but because of the side effects of the medication, may have been what Elena told her. Don't forget that 19 years ago, Meri was the one who told the Miyano couple that the Karasuma group was the dangerous organization. The third puzzle, Vermouth's Anomaly. Vermouth knows the relationship between the Akai family and the Miyano family, and also knows that Meri does not only have Akai Shuichi as the only son, but why does she not know the existence of her daughter? And Vermouth clearly knows that the APTX 4869 will have a chance to de-age a person, so why does she even poison Meri with it? And nevertheless, fed it using her mouth. If other members of the Black Organization see that Meri got smaller, then her cool guy Conan may be suspected. So is it possible that she gave Meri the medicine and made Meri fall off the bridge and escape on purpose? Don't forget that there's an alcoholic beverage called Bloody Mary. The last puzzle is a coincidence. In Japan, Vermouth helped Bourbon disguise as Scar Akai to observe the reaction of the FBI agents. At almost the same time in London, Vermouth disguised herself as Akai Tsutomu to attract the attention of the MI6 agents. Two very similar plans took place in two completely different places at the same time. Plus, the Seta family, the Mori family, and the Kudo family. These families appearing in London almost simultaneously. It feels like this is someone's plan. By the way, although Meri, after becoming smaller, looked the same age as Haibara, she actually changed back to the appearance of a junior high school student. In other words, there is a limit to the APTX 4869's reverse of time. A 17-year-old person will become 7 years old, and a 53-year-old person will become around 14 years old. Assuming the 99-year-old Karasuma Renya also takes the same medicine, then his age will return to around 20 years old. And after 40 years later, he will be more than 60 years old today. It is not yet certain now whether the APTX 4869 can be taken twice consecutively, or what the silver bullet's specific role is. All the puzzles will be revealed in the future.